Today we're going to make a classic white layer cake. It's a soft, tender, moist cake that's perfectly white and leavened with egg whites, and then that's layered with a traditional American buttercream that all together is just divine. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button below and click the bell icon to be notified every time I post a new and delicious recipe. Let's get into it. So, lots of things on the counter right now, but fear not, this is easier than it looks. It's just a couple steps, right? So let's go ahead and get our butter. That yours will be obviously softened room temperature, but mine is, it's not. So we're gonna get this into the stand mixer so they can start to kind of soften, and while we kind of prep the rest of our ingredients. All right, and into the stand mixer. All right, so let's prep the rest of our ingredients. So we've got, nothing needs to happen to the sugar. These three, we've got 2 things of sugar. We've got our big amount of sugar, which is gonna go into our cake initially, and then we've got some for our meringue. And then we've got our dry ingredients. So I'm gonna go ahead and whisk those together. So I've got cake flour, cornstarch, which I'm not gonna get in my pants. No, I'm not. Baking powder, salt, and then we are going to whisk that together. Cool. Now, in sad news, we do have to sift this because it is a cake and we are using cake flour and it gets a little lumpy, so we're definitely gonna have to sift it. I know. Okay. Take this, place this back in my bowl. Showing you all the tricks today. All right, and then we are gonna use the same parchment paper because we are magical creatures and we are gonna put this in a pan. So take your pan. You've seen me do this a million times. It doesn't change. And snip, snip, snip. Inside, obviously, we want to line inside the pan, and we traced outside the pan, so one would tell us that we should cut inside. And also, obviously, Sharpie is disgusting, and poisonous. Go ahead and spray your pans. Place inside. Give them a little, just kind of press them down. So we've got our butter, which is tempered, which is room temperature. It's like softened, so it's like cold but pliable. Go ahead and pop all of the big amount of your sugar in there. Yep, start slow. It's a lot of sugar. It's gonna make a nice, tender, moist cake, I'm just saying. Turn it up a little bit. Now this is gonna feel a little weird because normally at the next stage you're gonna add your eggs, but we're not gonna do that because this is a bright white cake. And we want to make sure that, we don't get any of the yellow from the yolks. So we want this to be nice and light and fluffy. So it's going to kind of come together into a paste and then release out. And we are just going to wait for it to kind of separate out and be nice and light and fluffy. And that's when you know we're ready to add our wet ingredients. Starting to kind of come apart from its clump, like its paste. So we know that we're getting very close here. There we are. Okay, do you see how this has kind of fallen apart? It's starting to, like, you can see that it's not like pasty anymore. You can see there's crystals. I'm gonna give it one more couple go rounds, excuse me. And then we are going to be perfect. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add my extract. So I've got vanilla extract. Again, this might add a little bit of color, and if you want that to go away, you can omit it, or you can find like a clear one. And then almond extract, because I'm in love, and I want you to be too. Let this scrape down. Oh, it smells divine. This is where obviously we normally add our eggs, but we're not gonna do that. We're gonna add our milk. So we're gonna go straight to our incorporating of our wet and dry ingredients. I know this is a little weird, but bear with me. I'm gonna turn it down. We're gonna start to get this in there. And now again, you still don't wanna overmix it. It is cake flour, but that does not mean that you can allow it to mix willy-nilly. No. So we're alternating here. Gorge. All right, now, you could have done your meringue first. It's totally up to you, but I did not. So we've got a nice batter here, and we're gonna set it to the side, and we are going to pop in another bowl. With the whisk attachment, we've got our egg whites. Boom, yeah. And then we've got a bit of cream of tartar. I'm just gonna go ahead and give it a nice kind of generous little pinch, like it's, you know, a half of an 1/8 teaspoon, so a 1/16 if one does math. And then go ahead and pop this on. Kind of start it out like slow. All right, now we've got it's a little frothy. We're gonna start adding our sugar. It's a decent amount of sugar. So with meringues, there's an inverse relationship between the amount of sugar and then the amount of volume. But the more sugar, the more stable. So obviously we want it to be a little bit more stable when we're mixing it into our batter, so it kind of holds some of those air pockets. All right, now we wait. Okay. Over there. So you see how it's like stiffish, but still folds over? That's what I mean by medium soft. First, we are going to do what is called sacrifice. So we are going to take a bit of our meringue and we are going to aggressively fold it into our batter. And we're going to sacrifice all of that leavening for the sake of lightening the mixture, the batter over here. Trying to get them a little closer to the same consistency because right now the batter is very thick and obviously the meringue is very soft. So, but also keep in mind that the more you agitate the batter by folding, the more you're developing the gluten. And so you do want to do this step fast. You see how I'm turning my bowl in the opposite direction that I'm folding, and that is helping me incorporate evenly and quickly. We are going to take this and divide it between our pans. Now this will absolutely make 3 layers. In fact, I feel like I might have to make 3 layers. You don't want to like drop it from super far up because then you're gonna like deflate all of the layer or all of the air that you so lovingly worked in there. Get yourself a little offset. Go ahead and spread out the batter in here. Make sure it's even. It's not going to redistribute itself when it's in the oven. That's not its job. Its job is to bake high and proud. So your job is to spread it out evenly so it does that in an even fashion. All right, I'm going to place these in the oven. I've preheated my oven to 325 convection. If you do not have convection, then just do 325. 350 will kind of darken the outside before the inside has a chance to bake, and that's just sadness because we want a white cake. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop these in, and I'm gonna check them in 20 minutes. Like, let's not pretend like anything is gonna happen in that amount of time. See you then. And they're out. They baked about 45 minutes. They gave some resistance when I touched them. A cake tester came out with only a few clinging crumbs, and then the outside edges started to pull away from the outer, the pan. So now we're gonna let them cool about 10 minutes, and then we're gonna flip them over and let them cool completely. All right, it has been 10 minutes, and we are ready to flip them over. So grab yourself an offset spatula, and they're still hot, so just be careful. Run your spatula around the edge just to make sure that it doesn't stick, because you don't want it to rip or tear. Go ahead and give that a nice quick whoosh. Okay, and then we are going to take one pan and flip her over. Boop, there she is. Voila. Now, obviously, it's white on the inside, but it is impossible to get it from browning on the outside. And honestly, you kind of want that nice textural and flavor contrast. But meanwhile, prepare your buttercream. A beautiful vanilla American buttercream is what I'm gonna use, but you could also use a chocolate buttercream or my Swiss meringue buttercream, Italian meringue, any buttercream would be amaze. Just know. All right, we've got our favorite cake stand of the day. She's large and in charge. We have our cooled, completely cooled cake and any buttercream of choice. This is my American buttercream, my vanilla American buttercream, which I'll link for you up there and down below. And, but chocolate American buttercream would be great. Any sort of Italian meringue, the world is your oyster here. And then we're gonna go ahead and put, you know, about a half a cup of buttercream on in the center. And we're gonna do a bit of a crumb coat here. You know, you wanna make sure that you've got, you know, this is a crumbly cake on the outside. And so you wanna make sure that you are able to coat it with like just a really light coating before you try and, you know, give yourself a nice thick layer. I'm thinking just swirls because it's a no fuss cake, the no fuss frosting. Let's lean into the no fuss, shall we? Yes. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give it some decorative swirls. All right. And then we'll just kind of do some on the sides, nothing crazy on the sides. It's time to try. Without further ado, the moment that I've been waiting for. What? Do you see this? Do you see this beautiful tender crumb that's happening right now? It's just so soft and moist in there. I can tell already. I mean, she's like poking herself out because we didn't chill her, and that's on us. But sometimes a girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do. Right now, I need some cake. Wow. Holy moly. Cake. It's a tender, soft, moist cake. It's flavored with that vanilla and that little bit of almond that comes through. There's a really tender crumb, and it's just like kind of melts in your mouth almost. And it's not super sweet itself, so the pairing of the buttercream is just, oh, absolutely divine. Heaven.